and welcome to today's video, where today we're covering a bit of a larger topic, being Redbox. And by that, I mean gearboxes. I wasn't necessarily expecting to do this, so I just gave everything very funny names. Cough cough, Binting Bant. But instead of going to the actual gearbox factory to see how they're made, we're going to check out the sandbox first for my version 1 design. Now, it's a bit of a mess, but I try to do a 2x2 grid of assemblers, and I'll let it run for a little bit for a good frame of reference. And the premise hasn't really changed. The iron parts were made on site due to iron being very simple, and as you can tell, doesn't use too much substance, as you see here. After that, all that was left to do was import steel, because no, I'm not building the steel factory, which is the same size as the current building, just to support steel. It doesn't even use a full thing of steel plates. So just learn to use importers. For the advanced resources, they make your life so easy, never be intimidated by them. Continuing on, as you can see here, it's a little bit of a frenzy. And I originally wasn't a huge fan of this design due to the fact that it was built with red belts, so I tried to come up with a new and better design, which also uses red arms. I think I said red belts. It uses red arms too. So I just built it with, standard inserters and then upgraded it. Now you might be wondering, okay, well, technically speaking, you don't always need to use long inserters, although I have found they're like a 0.3% faster, and when you have a lot of them, that adds up. Just so you know, 2 is better than 1. Regardless, that doesn't change the fact that technically that doesn't work here. You have bolts, plates, and then screws on the bottom with the outputs being taken in the middle. And for the way I've set this all up, it uses a nice clean 20 substance to make 2.5 gearboxes. The developers didn't expect you to really get more than like 5, like 0.5, 0.7. So this is way beyond what production they were expecting, or at least for a base factory. And, well, I think it's pretty apparent that this thing is fast. It does need a few plates, but honestly I was surprised with just how little plates gearbox is needed. The real expense here is making all the other components, and as you can clearly see in here, fitting in steel would take from here to here, so you basically a quarter of the room. We don't have that. Again, with steel, everything should be importers. You make your steel, you export it, you then import it somewhere else. And by that I mean steel plates, because it's 3 times denser, and also it saves you from having to heat, press, and cool steel. Or maybe you don't have to cool it, but putting just a heater and then your machine is not much harder. Let's be honest, folks. And I found that this was a good and very satisfying ratio. So, as we all know, there's 2 parts of the factory that matter: how well it works and how cool it looks. And I would say this is a nice middle ground. Regardless, stay tuned for the next video where I talk about the gas factor, which I can not reassure you is just gas bottles, because that would be very obvious, or something, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed and found this one helpful, and, stay curious, I hope you're only coming to these tutorials because you've really tested everything you could, and you're like, I cannot make as much as I truly desire, because at the end of the day, you're playing a factory game to test yourself, to make good designs, and, make something you're proud of. For example, I am very pleased with how the gearboxes turned out. I'm very pleased of how my 2nd generation of iron production went. This can be built once you get the shaper. Very convenient. And you also get a tier 5 room. This, you only need a tier 4. You need a tier 5, you don't have to fill this space in. This is completely useless. But even in a steel production, I'm very proud of this design, and I greatly encourage you to design things yourself. That's why we're all here. But if you really just want some bulky production and you don't want to have to think about it again, because like gearbox is in my original playthrough, I just sort of haphazardly put in my steel factory like everything else, please use importers. You know, maybe you want to watch this just to get a lot of them, because I will be honest, from here on out, I'm pretty much only using fast long inserters, which also, if I'm not mistaken, take a rather alarming amount of glass tubes. I mean, 2,000 per arm. Okay. I don't know why. They're not that hard to make. You just need a lot of them. Like a lot of them. Regardless, I hope you've enjoyed and it's helped. And I'll see you all next time with gas bottles. It's already selected. Take care, lads.